I'm a member of Alpha Gamma Delta. Recruitment's in August, and every year there's, thousands of girls. Like, I think it's around 2,000 now, the girls that come through trying to pledge a house. This year, though, there's one girl in particular, a black girl that came through, and she was dropped from every sorority. She was from Tuscaloosa. She had a resume that was incredible. And, she was friends with a lot of girls that a lot of the houses were rushing as their top girls. This girl literally would have gotten every sorority, I think, a bid from them if she was not black. I do believe that. They are being discriminatory, and, they probably have for years. It just has never been this big of a deal. If you're a student here, you probably have heard the story. On September 11th, actually, because I remember everyone, either half of my tweets being about September 11th or about the CW article that had come out that day. We fought. My whole sorority fought, really hard, and I'm the only one raising my hand, and I'm shaking while I'm doing it. I just felt that everyone was being cowardly and not wanting to be the first sorority to have a black girl. It was scary to tell her everything was because we have a rule of chapter room secrecy. And so I called my parents and I asked them, before I went, I said, "Are you okay if you have to find me a new place to live?" And they said yeah, and they told me just to follow my heart and to do what I thought was right. I can remember growing up, just like my grandpa was a racist old man, and he was, and my dad would yell at him and he would get in the car with us and tell us, "Don't you ever do that, everyone is equal." I put myself in this girl's shoes a lot, and I tried to keep her, make sure that I remember that she's probably going through just as much as me, and she has to deal with this her whole life. I'm just here one time, and it seems silly that I'm getting an award for it because, I'm not the minority here, and I got in a sorority easy, and there are people that are in authority that are scary. Just because someone is in charge of you doesn't mean that they're always right. You can always challenge the rules, and you can always challenge the way you're told what things are. I guess I just realize more now, and I would fight a lot more for minorities in general. Just because you're not directly involved in it doesn't mean if you think it's wrong, you can't say something,
Well, I arrived in September of 1963, 3 months after the infamous stand in the schoolhouse door. I had a first-hand look at the way race relations existed in our community, and when there were still places that said, black entrance, white entrance, this sort of thing. We were painfully aware of the state's history and all the terrible things that happened, whether it was with Bull Connor or the Freedom Riders. That was part of the reason that we decided to do something proactive in establishing, realizing the dream, trying to help people improve their attitudes toward one another. And, music is always a good vehicle by which to do that. It kind of softens the rigid views of people. organizing Realizing the Dream, we hope that we would send a message to the people of the state about your responsibility to help improve race relations. It was a freedom march, and I marched in that several times, and that was the local community's way of demonstrating their support for freedom for all. Well, it would be pretty presumptuous of me to compare myself to Dr. King, but to the extent that I possess any of those characteristics, I would have to give a lot of the credit to my parents. When I grew up in an environment that stressed character, that you didn't lie, you didn't cheat, you were sensitive to others, and if you made a mistake, you were punished and you didn't whine, and you tried to do the right thing all the time. And then too, I grew up in a farming community where it was taken for granted that you helped others when they were in need. If a farmer was injured and couldn't harvest his crops, everyone came together and did it for him. So I think maybe that environment had a lot to do with it. Well, first, reflecting on the university community, 3 or 4 months ago, I would have said one of the major hurdles that we face is integration or desegregation of the Greek system. Well, lo and behold, that's already happened with respect to sororities. I fully expect that will happen with fraternities, and I think that's a major step forward. Now, of course, there continue to be more subtle kinds of practices that need to be corrected, and I think keeping the issue before the people, whether it's through realizing the dream and other ways that we can help to keep the issue before us, that we have work to do to be fair to everyone involved. And I think in the long term, we'll continue to make progress.
I think the way we approach issues and how we face moral challenges really depend on how we're trained and what our values are. And I guess that's that challenge we hear about when no one's looking, what we do when no one's looking. And that's what the right thing is, doing what we're supposed to do when there's no one looking to give us the credit or give us an accolade or to give us an attagirl or an attaboy. And when I arrived at the university, there was the opportunity to be involved with promoting the university and committing yourself to being not just a ward of it, but a constituent of it, a keeper of it, a part of its perpetuation, its uplifting, and that is what I was trained to do by example. So I think what would make us like Dr. King is for us to follow that practice of study, practice of reflection, and immersion in moral thoughts and highly elevated philosophy. I think that my family taught me how to be committed, how to be upright, sent me to Sunday school. I teach a Sunday school class, and I say I make, and that's exactly what I do. I make the students read. And what's in the Bible, golly, it's magic. It shows them how to face the challenges of life. What I want to see in the realm of civil rights is for us to have a constitutional environment, and even for things that we don't agree, for us to be able to say, these are American values, and they may challenge your deeply held values, and you have the right to hold them, but we live in a constitutional democracy, and somebody needs to be able to stand up and say in forums where it's not popular to say that, this is what a constitutional democracy permits. America was founded for the freedom of religion. Consequently, you can't have prayer in schools because that's just an opportunity for somebody to impose their values on others. If you want to pray in school, pray, but you can't impose your prayer on someone else. And our challenge is to talk about what are the values of society. On gay marriage, what I try to tell my minister, fine, if you don't want somebody to get married in this church, I understand that. But I tell my minister, you have to go to court to dissolve your marriage. You don't come to church to get a divorce. So a marriage is a civil action that involves the law. It's a contract. So my goal and ambition is for a constitutional democracy and an environment where these challenging things can be said.